What is the latest situation on the ground? How many people have we lost?
In Vinnytsia, there's been 23 people who have been killed. The bodies of most of them have been identified, but still you have to understand that it's a missile strike, it's a rocket which hits, it's an explosion. So the bodies are in pieces. To put them back together takes time. So there's still several unidentified bodies. 3 of those who have been killed are children, a 4-year-old Lisa, and 2 boys, 7 and 8. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, really, and it's one of many acts of war, of acts of crimes of war that Russia is committing in Ukraine.
President Volodymyr Zelensky has asked, what is this if not an open act of terrorism? Do you see this as terrorism rather than something which happens in war?
It's aggression. It's all elements of the one overarching crime of aggression that Russia started committing against Ukraine in February 2014, 8 years ago. And then Russia has had the luxury to escalate this aggression whenever it saw it fit for its own interests. On the 24th of February 2022, Russia, of course, escalated this aggression to absolutely unprecedented levels, to an all-out war against Ukraine. And this is what we are witnessing now. War crimes, crimes against humanity, and acts of terrorism, nevertheless.
The treatment of prisoners like Mr. Yuri, who has just died, we have reports of chronic illness and stress as reasons for his death. This again feels outside any normal, decent rules of warfare. This is an aid worker. Do you have more information about the way prisoners are being treated?
Well, it feels surrealistic, really, to have such kind of excuses and such kind of reasons for the death of a person who has probably been held in absolutely unacceptable conditions, who has probably been tried and tortured through the days of the arrest, of the detention. But then again, what do you want from a country who just today passed a reform of the torture system, whereby the definition of torture itself has been changed to mean that torture can be applied to inflict fear, and that any official administering torture, be it physical or psychological, is no longer in the wrong. This is what Russia is doing. This is what Russia is doing to its own people. And of course, what Russia is doing to the Ukrainians and to the people siding with Ukraine is 10 times worse than that.
What do you expect now from other countries in support? What changes do you think would be made that would help the situation for Ukraine?
We need the world to stand in unity for Ukraine and for freedom. And we need this unity to materialize into weapons that are being sent into Ukraine. What we cannot have is a lessening of the sanctions. And we are seeing that the US is slowly pulling out from the sanctions. Canada has just made an exemption to allow the Nord Stream 1 project, a Russian gas project, to continue essentially as it does. The sanctions package of the EU, the 7th sanctions package, cannot be called a 7th sanction package. At maximum, it can be called a 6.5 sanction package, because the sanctions that are being introduced there are not so much stronger on the actions of Russia. So what Ukrainians are asking is what we have been asking since day one of this escalation, is that the world stands united, not just in condemning, but in fighting off Russian aggression. Because one thing we cannot afford to do is to live next to an aggressor who can ignite conflicts and wars and pain and suffering at any moment it deems necessary for its own aims and goals.
And just in a line, do you have hope of the International Criminal Court now investigating Russian war crimes? Do you think in the end this will make a difference?
You know, I'm an international lawyer by training, and I believe in international institutions and in the international rule framework, because this is the only thing that countries have to rely on to live next to each other in peace and development. So I believe in the International Criminal Court, and I believe that justice must be served, and I believe that an international tribunal on aggression must be established, and that all those wrongdoers, all those criminals, be it soldiers or generals or Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation, they must be brought to justice, and justice must be served. Because it's not just about punishing those who are on the wrong, it's about also how we define ourselves as those who are administering this justice. And I believe that as a rule-based society, as a democratic society, we owe it. We owe it to us, and we owe it to the future generations who will be analyzing all of these historic events and making their conclusions.